All right, Mike, I know you haven't heard it for 6 months, so I got to say it. Buckle up, Buttercup, it's Pittsburgh Sports Talk. You missed hearing that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah! Hey, lot to talk about in Steelers Nation, a lot to talk about offensively, defensively. We're going to take a look at the draft in this segment. First of all, Mike, you had Elam, you had Jake Fromm. Why did the Steelers not go, unless you have confidence that the Duck is going to take you all the way to the championship this year? Because Steelers Nation, that's what this is about as we go into this 2020 campaign. Mike, it's about going to Super Bowls here in Pittsburgh.
Well, yeah, and you know, I don't think getting a backup quarterback right now, I like the position choice. You know, I don't know if I would have went with that receiver. I think they would have been better off with maybe Van Jefferson, who was taken right after him 3 picks later by the Rams. But I do think they needed a big play receiver.
Well, here's the thing, okay? By all accounts right now, Ben has been out there practicing with, well, you know, Switzer and Juju and the rest of the guys getting things going. By all accounts, as we stand here today at the end of May, Ben's arm is healed up. He looks good. He's back to the Ben of old. Barring that, 2 scenarios. Maybe the arm blows up, and I hope not. But there's a myriad of other things that can happen. I mean, this guy is like a piñata throughout his career. He could get a knee blown out. He could get his neck broken. He could get his shoulder ripped out on the other side. 1,000 things can happen to Ben Roethlisberger. So let's say he goes down with a knee injury. Are you confident in going back to the well with Mason Rudolph and the Duck?
Obviously, the coaches feel that way. I mean, they have a great defense. They'll probably lean on the run game a little bit more. They added some tight ends, so maybe they feel that's not an immediate need, and maybe they'll try and go out and get something via free agency. There's a few guys left out there still, but
who would you go after in free agency right now, Mike? Andy Dalton was on the board for a little while there.
Yeah.
Signs the 1-year deal.
Who I liked the most at the time, actually before Andy Dalton, I actually liked Jameis Winston. I actually liked him the best to come in and maybe sit behind Ben for a year or two, as if, you know, the same way the Saints brought him in for a year and see what happens.
All right, so we are never going to find out what's going to happen until September, well, kickoff, when Ben Roethlisberger is your starting quarterback, who that second and the all-important, would have never thought the Terry Hanratty position, 3rd string quarterback, was so important until the Duck had to perform last season. All right, the 2020 NFL draft came in weird circumstances. You actually, with this virus going on, Mike's all slicked up. I've never seen you with the mustache. And what is that?
Neither have I. I've never seen myself like this.
You've never had this before?
No, just, you know, trying to let it grow a little bit. Little competition with my buddies. I can't grow the sides, so we, you know, go with the stash and the goatee a little bit, but it's going to come off soon.
Well, I was almost so stir crazy last month, and this is the truth. I asked my girlfriend to give me a mohawk and blonde the middle part.
You should have.
Well, fortunately, I sobered up the next morning, and we didn't do that.
I wish you would have.
Yeah, well, don't threaten me, Buttercup. I just may start the whole season with a mohawk. Why not? It's weird times. All right, let's talk about the Steelers' 2020 NFL draft. I thought they should have gone after Jake Fromm. I really do. What do you think? The big guy out of Notre Dame at 6'4". He's got blazing speed at 4'4". Mike.
Yeah, he's got great speed, he's got great size. Only got to do that since Calvin Johnson at the Combine. If he can produce like Calvin Johnson, great. But the knock on him is getting in and out of breaks. You already have a guy similar like that. You have Juju. Now he's obviously got a little bit more speed than Juju on that vertical threat. If that's what they use him for, they use maybe some goal line offense, some jump balls, because he is a big jump ball guy. Again, I would have preferred Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson is the son of Sean Jefferson, a former player who I played with. He's also a coach in the NFL. He's a student of the game. He's great route running in and out, and the Rams go and pick him up. But, you know, maybe they feel Deontay Johnson and Switzer are going to be the guys that can finesse on the routes.
Well, you know what? I was really impressed by the progress of Deontay Johnson last year. James Washington, well, we said it in camp. For the first 4 or 5, 6 days in camp, James Washington was dropping everything. He and I got criticized for it until people actually started looking at the tape. Washington came on as the season went along, but I really have hopes for Diontae Johnson. I think he showed a lot of moxie. I like it. You love a wide receiver as a former NFL quarterback who can get out of that break quickly, and he's got that.
Yeah, he's very quick, in and out of the break. He was a good surprise. It was a third-round draft pick last year. I think he'll have a big role this year. Again, they got Switzer back. Hopefully he's just not returning punts. You know, he was a little banged up last year, and I would like to see him on the field more. You know, and I know Ben likes Switzer as well, so maybe that will get him some more playing time. As a quarterback, I like guys getting in and out of breaks quick. When a guy's slow out of the break, to me, it's more difficult because the DB, once he starts that break, the DB sees it, and it gives him a little bit of a split second longer, faster to make that break on the quarterback's throw. And now all of a sudden it's a difference between an interception or a batted ball and a completion.
Well, here's the thing. Nutty in the head, AB is long gone, but we always have to go back to that.
He's still available.
He's still available. He's going to end up in a nut house at Western Psych if we bring him back here to Pittsburgh. Don't do that. Okay. All right, you're a big Notre Dame fan. You're Irish. I'm a big Notre Dame fan. I'm really pulling for Notre Dame.
I hate Notre Dame.
I didn't realize that.
No, I used to like him, but no, I don't like him. I played against them, and I don't like him.
You played up at Notre Dame?
No, they played against us at Rutgers.
The band. Na 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 na.
No, we almost beat them. They had was it Bob Davies?
Yeah, coach.
At the time?
He was our coach at Pitt, man, and I love Davies.
He and I got into it a little bit.
How's that?
During the game, I don't know. I was near the sideline. I completed a pass, and he got upset about it and was mouthing off.
Yeah, well, he's a Pittsburgh kind of guy, Bob Davies, and I liked him. I didn't like what they did to him up there at Notre Dame. But the point is, the kid out of Notre Dame is going to round out that receiving core. Now, look, I'm not going to say he's going over 1,000 yards this year, but with Ben Roethlisberger coming back healthy, you've now got 4 legitimate wide receivers. Juju, he needs that guy with the 4.4 speed to help him out. Juju was getting attacked last year, right?
Oh yeah, he's getting double teamed, and now put the pressure on the rookie, and then it made James Washington have to step up into that role, and fortunately he did as the season went along. But again, that threat over the top is definitely going to help Juju out. Maybe a little bit more one-on-one. He can muscle up some coverage. He can't separate, but he can muscle his way through it.
Watch for Diontae on the go route, Mike, this year. All right, in the second round, not the second round, but the second pick for the Steelers, a lot of people are shaking their heads, Mike. This kid is an outside linebacker brought in to back up Bud Dupree and TJ Watt, who had an incredible season last year with Watt coming off one side and the human tornado and Dupree coming into his own last year. I think if this kid can pick up the tendencies, you know how Watt gets in there and locks out and throws the tackle, if he can get the spin moves of Bud Dupree, that's who this kid has to learn from this year.
Well, yeah, obviously they say he's a little bit undersized for a defensive end, ideal fit for a 3-4 defense. Bud Dupree signs the franchise tender. His contract, he'll be up again next year, so I think they're trying to bring him in, and they're unsure on Bud Dupree if they're going to give him that long-term contract or not. Yeah,
now look, we're going to find out about Highsmith. He's a big guy at 6'4", but as Mikey said, he's got a smaller frame at about 232 on him. And the real problem, the way I see it, is the best he's ever been clocked at is around 4'7". I want my defensive end, outside linebacker coming and flying, man.
Well, again, you know, a 4'7", you look at that, but you're going to look at defensive line. I know 40 times show a lot about the speed, but I think with those guys, they look a little bit more at the, you know, their times in the 10-yard. In the 20-yard, he's got to get off the ball. And as long as he's quick and getting off the ball and he can move side to side, he can fit. The 4'7" doesn't scare me so much because, I mean, do you really want him chasing guys all the way down the field, making a game-saving tackle on a running back? You know, if he's making a tackle 40 yards down the field, you're in trouble.
We're going to find out. All right, the Steelers went to Terrapin Station down there in Maryland and raided the, what is that terrapin? It's a fighting turtle, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's a mean little turtle that'll chomp onto you. We're talking about the first terrapin. Mr. McFarland, the running back. Now, a lot of people did not like the running back by committee last year, but it was a go-to situation with James Conner getting banged up. Jalen Samuels last year, not so bad, coming into his own. Now all of a sudden they go down to the Terrapin Station, they pick up McFarland. Mike, I think this kid is going to thrive. He's got burst quick speed. He runs a 4.440. You put him behind an NFL-sized line with Alavanandra and Wisnowski there up at the Penn State guy, and the center there, the Pouncey guy. You might find this kid hitting the A-gap like that and into the secondary.
Yeah, you might. He's got that breakaway speed. He's got that second gear to pull away from guys. James Conner hits the hole hard. Does he have the breakaway speed? We're not sure. Benny Snell is another hard-nosed guy. They got rid of Roosevelt Nix. Maybe Snell moves into more of a fullback role a couple times here and there. You still have
White. Mr. Wyeth.
No. Jalen Samuels.
So you're
going to have running back by committee again. I think he's more of the home run hitter. But again, they brought in the quarterback coach, Matt Canada, from Maryland. So obviously he has some familiarity with him. Is that a good thing? Who knows? When I was in Detroit, we had Bobby Johnson, receiver coach, come from head coaching Michigan State. He said, go with Charles Rogers. And we had a chance to get Andre Johnson.
Oh.
We saw how that turned out. But again, the coach has some familiarity. He likes him, so obviously they bring in. They go and raid the cabinet at Maryland.
We're going to find out. Time will tell about Mr. McFarland out of Terrapin Station. All right, I love talking about offensive linemen, the great history here in Pittsburgh, all beginning with Ray Mansfield, Mike Webster, Iron Mike Webster. Out of Louisiana, Lafayette, I'm calling this guy the Bulldozer. Kevin the Bulldozer Dotson, 6'4", 310 pounds of raw meat. This guy started all 4 years down there in Louisiana. He moves people, Mike. He could probably move this 10,000-pound statue of Mr. Rooney behind us.
Oh, sure. Offensive line's always a great spot to have some extra pieces to bring in, maybe an extra offensive lineman. The Steelers like to bring that extra guy in every once in a while. And also to groom behind some of the vets, getting up there with the bigger contracts, and who knows how much longer they'll be around.
Hey, hang your hat on this. Now, I know Sean Starrett has taken over for the great one who's left for Denver out there, but the Steelers have done a remarkable job finding offensive line talent in the oddest of places. They went up there, they got the Captain Villanueva out of the United States Military Academy there. DeCastro out of Stanford, of all people. I don't want my offensive guards coming out of Stanford, but unfortunately, he turned into a mean little Rottweiler.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, offensive line is typically one of the smartest positions on the team.
Oh, especially guard.
And you want that.
You want that.
I would rather have that. I want to understand the defensive fronts, understand where those blitzes are coming from and protecting your quarterback.
There we go. The Steelers have given you Pouncey. They have found Matt Filer. B.J. Finney, who would have thought several years ago he would have made big bucks in free agency. So go ahead and hang your hat on that Steelers front office and bringing you the Bulldozer Dotson out of Louisiana, Lafayette. All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they sent the Jaguar Hargrave packing to Philadelphia. Kudos to him. He earned that big free agency paycheck. They went down to Nebraska, and they found Carlos Davis, 6'2", 320 pounds. This guy is a fire plug. I don't know if he's going to be an immediate impact player. We're going to see how he shows up into training camp, if he's got that, how rookies are. They're scared of everybody and everything. And especially of making mistakes.
Yeah, but he's playing D-line, so how many mistakes can you do? Obviously, get after the quarterback, maybe grab the guard, help the run game out, keep those guys off the linebackers and let those guys make the tackles.
He played a lot on the line down there at Nebraska. They moved him around. Let's face it, are you going to trust Daniel McCullers to be your starting nose tackle for this Pittsburgh Steelers 3-4 base defense? Although you only play the base, according to the Steelers, their percentage is about 30% of the time. But I tell you what, I still want a stud nose guard for those 30% of the snaps there. All right, Mike, this is my favorite player chosen in the 2020 draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, they go down to Terrapin Station, and they get the team MVP down there for the Fighting Terrapins Turtles. Antoine Brooks Jr. I love this guy. 5'11", 215 pounds, team MVP. You know what I like about this guy? He likes to hit people. He loves the game of football. You go back, you watch his tape from Maryland. This kid gets excited about it. Remember how Brett Favre just loved to play football? And you know Brett Favre loved to play football. Even his last snap in the NFL, that's the kind of heart, the kind of motor. Mr. Brooks, I'm calling him the monster because he hits like a monster. He's devastating. I really have high hopes for this guy because, again, Sean Davis, for whatever reason, the Steelers let him go. They sent him packing. I think they should have kept on to Sean Davis, but we'll never know about that. He's got the same kind of mentality, Mike. He likes to hit people. He is the hybrid that Mike Tomlin always tells us about, that he wants a hybrid linebacker, a hybrid safety. Minkah Fitzpatrick ended up here in Pittsburgh because basically he was taking too many snaps inside the box as that hybrid linebacker down there in Dolphin tuna fish land is how Minkah got here. Mike, do you see something positive about the monster, Mr. Brooks?
You know, we'll see. Like you said, he's the hybrid linebacker safety. He's a little bit undersized for a linebacker, bigger for a safety. Doesn't have great cover skills, but you got Minkah Fitzpatrick back there. Obviously, when you look at the Steelers draft, you have to put Minkah Fitzpatrick in as their first round draft choice. So, yeah, and that to me is the best pick of all. But we'll see how he splits time with Terrell Edmonds, and again, you know, maybe some run situations, some nickel situations. When you got 3 receivers on the field, maybe 4 receivers on the field, you can bring him down in the box and still stop the run and keep Terrell Edmonds and Minkah Fitzpatrick back deep.
If you really care about your Pittsburgh Steelers, go bring up the tape from Mr. Brooks from back down there at the University of Maryland with the Terrapins. He's got the little intangibles. He's got hands. He can read into the backfield. He does everything right at the right time. Things, Mike, you can't coach. They've just got to have that ability, like Mr. Bush, the Predator, last year. When we saw him come onto the field and finally start playing, he does things just nobody else does.
Yeah, but the challenge for him is going to be the adjustment as far as covering. He doesn't have the exact ball hawking skills, and if he's back there in coverage, he has to understand in the NFL, you can't go in there screaming in. Obviously, in college, you can get the targeting, but now it's a different game. They protect the receivers a little bit more in the NFL game. You're going to get fined, so he's got to be able to play the ball a little better than he did in college.
So there you go, guys. As the 2020 draft is in our rear view mirrors, no OTAs. Everybody's working out at home. McMahon's been working out at home. I've been working out at home, hitting the heavy bag. Me and Mike Tyson, we're going to fight.
I haven't been working out anything. Just a remote control.
Yeah, all of us at home. So that's the breakdown of the 2020. Well, guys we lost in the free agency, guys we should have picked up, and the draft class to 2020. A good pick with Mr. Claypool.